Immigration in Canada is an absolute joke. It was determined that in 2021, around 23%, almost a quarter of Canada's population was immigrants. And we can only imagine that between 2021 and 2025, that number has got a lot bigger. Now, don't get me wrong, immigration itself is not a bad thing. It's good to have diversity in your country. But the way Canada has gone about it is not good. And it's going to ruin our country. We don't have enough resources to sustain these people. We don't have enough jobs. We don't have enough homes. It's got to the point where Canada can't properly sustain its own citizens. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have a fear that I will never be able to own a home. I have a fear that jobs are just going to become more and more hard to find. As a white Christian conservative female, I'm beginning to feel as if I'm the minority in my own country. Canada isn't Canada anymore.
And that's the thing, man. It's like, I don't even recognize Canada with all of these immigrants coming here, man. Like, why would people come to this land, come to this continent, and just live here when you can live back home and just take the land from people that lived here before? I don't know why we're talking about that. I just want to talk about hockey, but... And they're coming here and they're taking our jobs. I can't even order coffee without using Google Translate anymore. You're a pretty accomplished plumber. I don't know why you're wanting to work in Walmart. Are your kids trying to get a job there? Why would my kid be something lame like that? You think my kid's gonna be a burger flipper, bro? Whatever, man. You were just talking about the job. Oh, whatever, man. Yeah, I hope the Oilers do good this year.
If you come to Canada and you don't want to assimilate, why are you coming to Canada if your other culture place thingy is so great, the bad behaviors are so fantastic? Just go back to your country and live there then. Why come to Canada? Let me know in the comments below if you agree with this guy. You come to Canada and don't assimilate, do whatever you want. Lay off the charge, okay? I think you are too much into that and your brain cells are getting less and less, and this is not going to help, okay?
Canada is losing its culture really fast, and this is coming from an immigrant. A lot of people are not going to like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. As an immigrant myself, I say this with a lot of respect. Your job is to support the country, not change it. You left your home country for a certain reason. Now you're abroad into a different country. Your job is to adapt within the system. Your job is to speak the language. Your job is to understand the system, not overriding it with your own personal value or your own personal belief. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because that there's a video circulating in Quebec regarding international students protesting in universities stating that the French-speaking class must change. They must be taught in English. Do you understand how stupid that is? You chose to go to Quebec. You chose to go to a place where the majority of the people there, they speak French. So why are you there trying to change the rules? And that's just the tip of the iceberg among so many other things that is currently happening in this country. Now you have people that are complaining, stating that in order for them to get a job, they must speak Punjab or Chinese or Taiwanese or something, where this country national language is French and English.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. This is Hosting Stories KE. Now, let's talk about this burden of immigrants crisis in Canada. The Canadians are really fed up with these immigrants and this immigration crisis that they are facing right now in Canada. Some of them we've seen in the past few days, they have been protesting, demanding for mass deportation of these immigrants. Others are protesting. They are demanding for these immigrants to be taken back to their countries or deported, and even others are requesting for tighter border policies. I mean, the border policies that are now in Canada, they are allowing thousands and thousands and thousands of immigrants in Canada every year, and this does not sit well for the people of Canada, because they are saying we already have a crisis in Canada, including housing crisis, health crisis. The high cost of living in Canada is very high. If you bring in more and more and more Canada, we will be having more and more and more of these sorts of problem. And we've seen they are been complaining. Some of these immigrants are coming to occupy their jobs. They come there, they accept low-paying jobs, and these employees prefer to give the immigrants who are taking less money than to give the Canadians themselves who will be taking more money as they think. Now, these Canadians are complaining that some of these immigrants are taking up their jobs, and even some of these companies prefer to give these jobs to immigrants rather than to offer these jobs to the Canadians themselves. And these immigrants have become an headache, and a migrant crisis is getting too way out of hand for the people of Canada. In this video, I want us to just see some of the Canadian reactions on this, and also some of the immigrations and statistics on what the Canadian people think about this immigration crisis. And then at the end of this video, I'll be giving my honest commentaries. In the meantime, remember to subscribe while you keep on watching.
Alright guys, this is the bullshit in Canada. See this dollarama right here? They are only hiring immigrants. I was supposed to go to a job fair. It was supposed to be from 11 to 3. The dude lied to me. He said it ended at 11. He didn't even care to look at my fucking resume, dog. He didn't care to look at my resume. He just looked at me and said, sorry, we're not taking you. I wonder why. Maybe it's because the Canadian government is subsidizing immigrants to work for you? Bullshit, dude. Bullshit. I'm going to the fucking Service Ontario right now and I'm giving them ass for this, dude. This is bullshit. This should not have to happen in a fucking country where people should just be able to live freely, dude. I'm born here. I should be able to get a fucking job. This is bullshit, dude. Bullshit. Please share this video. Please like this video because I want people to fucking see the truth, and this is actual bullshit, dude.
You told me Canada gives everything for immigrants. Listen what I get. $3,000 at the beginning, but my Airbnb cost $2,000. No house, no credit score, no work, super cold winter, and 3 kids.
I guarantee you that immigration is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to Canada, to Europe, to the USA. And the best way to foreshadow what's going to happen is to look at Dubai. Look how amazing and prosperous Dubai has become because they understood underutilized labor in all those countries around. Let's be honest, we don't want to work these factory jobs. We don't want to work at Timmy's. We don't want to work all these shitty labor jobs. But all these people are willing to come here and work for half the price and work 10 times harder. Do you know how far that's going to progress our country? That's going to create a new level of abundance that we have not seen yet. It's all by design. It's going to create a level of prosperity that this country has never seen before. You're gonna not have to do all those shitty jobs anymore. You're not gonna have to be a janitor. You're not gonna have to clean dishes. You're not gonna have to do factory work, blue collar work, all those shitty jobs. It's gonna create comfort and prosperity and infrastructure. It's gonna take all these Western countries to a whole different level.
1,000 people in Canada with pending asylum claims. Many of these will be bogus. And new data we obtained today shows the profound cost of this failure. Since 2016, the Liberals have increased the cost of the interim federal health program, which includes support for benefits for people who have likely made bogus claims, by nearly 1,200%. This includes massive spending on benefits Canadians aren't eligible for. Can the minister explain why?
Good question.
The minister just said that the Liberals' immigration plan is, quote, working. The Liberals are spending at least $800 million this year because they allowed the asylum backlog to mushroom to nearly 300,000 people. And these are people, many of whom have bogus claims, and they allow them to stay in the country for years and years. That's why they had to increase that program to that level. This strains healthcare, it strains housing, and it makes a mockery of our once compassionate asylum system. Is this really what the minister defines as an immigration system that's working? Come on.
It's no secret that there's a mass immigration crisis in Canada. And when the Liberals were asked a series of questions in the House of Commons by Conservative MPs, they had a very difficult time putting together coherent sentences. Let's take a look.
Only a Liberal Prime Minister could promise to secure our border and fail in just 6 months. Over the summer, asylum claims from illegal U.S. crossings spiked dramatically, piling onto a staggering backlog of nearly 300,000 unprocessed claims. Many of these are likely bogus, yet claimants are immediately entitled to work permits, health care, and benefits on the backs of Canadian taxpayers. Another broken Liberal promise, another bait and switch, because he's just another Liberal Prime Minister. How much longer is the Prime Minister going to keep our border open and let it become a backdoor, unplanned stream of economic migration before he finally takes action?
Great. Good job.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Oh, cool.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. While the opposition is concentrating on, making assumptions and speaking about things that are not there, let me tell you that with the asylum system, our numbers are down 40%. We've also introduced Bill C-2, which will strengthen our border. And this legislation is in front of the House. We campaigned for, and Canadians have gave us a mandate, so did Conservatives, and we hope that the Conservatives will help us pass.
This immigration drama that I see and hear and read about today is only possible because too many of you do not understand history. As a country, and particularly those of you of European descent, you are lying to yourselves about how you got here and for what reason. See, Indigenous and Inuit peoples in Canada, they know how they got here. Their people have been here for 20, 30,000 years. Their ancestors migrated from Northeast Asia over a land bridge and by boat during the last ice age. Historians refer to their ancestry as time immemorial. And a lot of Asian folks know too, particularly if their ancestors are from China. Because while there were no Chinese slaves in Canada per se, they were considered forced labor due to the horrific conditions, low wages, and discrimination which amounted to modern slavery. Around 17,000 Chinese workers were recruited from China by contractors to fill labor shortages for the Canadian Pacific Railway between 1881 and 1884. They were given the most dangerous jobs, resulting in thousands of deaths, worked 14 to 16 hours a day, faced severe discrimination, were paid half the wages of their white counterparts, and endured terrible living conditions, including living in tents in the elements, while white workers were housed in train cars. While the workers were not legally chattel slaves, their lack of choice, deplorable working conditions, and systematic exploitation were similar to forms of forced labor or debt bondage. They were brought to Canada through recruitment systems that often involved a mixture of voluntary and involuntary aspects, making their experiences a dark chapter in Canadian history, and then faced deportation and discrimination if they stayed, including what was called a head tax, an unfair taxation of the very slave labor they were brought here to be. But those of us from Europe, we have all these lies we like to tell ourselves. And too many of you believe the lies. How the lies present is the people saying, well, I don't mind them coming. I just want them to come legally, like my people did. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? Come legally? There was no law to break when your people came here, Martha. The fact that they didn't break a law that didn't even exist? You don't get a pat on the back and a gold star for that, Chad. Because your great whatever was law-abiding only because there was no law to violate? That's the first lie. And the second one is that your people came for those supposed upstanding principles. They'll say things like, well, our people came for liberty and freedom. These people are just coming for handouts. They're just coming to take our jobs and use our health care and get free housing. They're coming to take our stuff. We came for high-minded principles. Right. What kind of third grade history is that? I'll circle back to that in a minute, but the third lie is when people say, well, these other countries aren't sending their best. Wait, what? You think Europe sent their best? Your people were the losers of Europe. You get that, right? The winners didn't get on the boat, son. You understand what I'm saying? The winners didn't leave. Why the hell would you leave if you were already winning over there? So no, only the losers left because they had no choice. They were dying, starving. They couldn't support their families. They had no land. They could barely afford to feed themselves. They had little savings. And they were promised if they came over here, they would be granted 100 acres of land if they cleared it within a certain amount of time. They were given a horse and some tools also, and rations. The bottom line is they came here and took someone else's stuff, brought their entire extended family. They came with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Your people didn't come here for liberty and freedom. They came here for the free stuff and never questioned where that stuff came from. Meanwhile, immigrants of today must pass a financial solvency test, must place sufficient funds in a Canadian bank account to survive on initially, have to pay way more for education than Canadians. They aren't handed land and livestock and tools. So it's high time you quit lying to yourself about how your people got here and under what pretense. We're all part of one race, the human race, and the entirety of the world is borders that are imaginary. They're imaginary lines drawn on a globe by people who believe they're real. It doesn't matter where we're from or where our ancestors were from. No one has the right to tell anyone else where they can live or what language they may speak or what religion they practice or what culture they celebrate. Period. Full stop. Peace out. And if you're not already following me, you should. It's going to be a ride.
Is Canada becoming less welcoming to immigrants? 62% of Canadians now say the country is taking in too many immigrants according to a recent survey. Just 3 years ago, another survey put that number at only 27%. South Asians appear to be particularly affected by this shift.
Ma'am, why were you aggressive to me?
I'm being aggressive to you because too many Indians are in Canada and I want you to go back.
4 in 10 South Asian Canadians reported experiencing discrimination regularly or from time to time last year due to their ethnicity or race.
And like all of a sudden it was like a switch had flipped and people just did not like to see other people with brown skin around them.
Ashwin Annamalai, a Canadian of South Asian origin, experienced this hostility firsthand.
I'm Canadian. I understand that she was mad at the way that I looked and the way that I spoke, and that's something that I cannot change. And she started screaming at me to go back, go back, go back. And this was my own backyard in my own neighborhood. And at that point, I did not know, like, where do I go back to?
South Asians are now the largest immigrant group in Canada, with over 2.3 million people reporting South Asian ethnicity, according to the 2021 census. India remains one of the top source countries for immigrants. In 2023, nearly 30% of new permanent residents were of Indian origin, the largest share among all groups. At the same time, hostility toward Indians seems to be growing. Last month, a Canadian youth was arrested for harassing and racially abusing an Indian couple in Peterborough, Ontario. And just few weeks ago, a video went viral on social media showing eggs being thrown at the annual Ratha Yatra, a traditional Hindu chariot festival. India's government has raised this issue with Canadian officials and called for the perpetrators to be held accountable.
For the past year and a half, things have definitely gotten worse for people of color. I think it's because of difficult economic situation that's there right now. You know, when the economy is not doing that well, people need a scapegoat, and a person of color is an easily identifiable scapegoat.
According to the Environics Institute, the changing attitudes towards immigrants are mainly driven by worries about housing shortages, the economy, overpopulation, and the impact on public finances. Increasingly, people are also concerned about how the immigration system is being managed.
This narrative of the immigrants coming in and burdening the medical system, putting pressure on the infrastructure, creating a housing crisis, all bear some truths. However, all blame should not be attributed to the migrants alone, because the medical crisis was already existing. The same goes for not investing in housing that is affordable for people. The rise in anti-South Asian hate is not exclusively limited to them. It's what I would say a general trends towards increased rhetoric of white supremacist ideology, creating an anxiety of racialized migrants coming into what they perceive as homogenized white spaces now being occupied by brown and black bodies.
Canada's population hit 40.8 million in 2024, growing by 3.2% in just 1 year, the fastest rate since 1957. Nearly all of that growth came from immigration, mostly through temporary immigration. Last year, the government announced a sharp cut in the number of immigrants allowed into the country, aiming to pause population growth. But Ashwin says this is just an attempt to shift blame and urges the government to take actual steps to address crises instead of imposing immigration caps.
Times are tough, housing is tough, the cost of living is going up, it's hard to find a job right now. I understand all of this, but let's say we scream at random people on the street and ask them to go back. It is not going to reduce your rent. It's not going to reduce your mortgage payment. It is not going to help with your grocery bills. It's not going to help you with finding a job. So this is not the solution. I urge people to channel their energy into positive ways where they could bring about change.
You know, personally, I believe that when you go to Rome, you must do what the Romans do. The fact that some of these immigrants are trying to convert even some of the Canadians to follow their culture, let's just use an example of the Muslims trying to impose, let's say, Sharia laws into Canada. Canadians are not happy on this. So let's say the Indians trying to do everything that they did in India, trying to change this in Canada. I think these are just some of the things that are making these Canadians to be angry. And some of these Indians demanding languages like Punjab to be taught in the schools, colleges and universities, or some of these international students who are considered as immigrants demanding French or other languages, their languages to be taught in Canadian schools. I think this does not sit well for the Canadians. Needless to say, you must do what the Canadians are doing, because if you go to Rome, try and do what the Romans do. Don't try to change Rome. This is just an honest opinion. But for this immigration crisis, I think now the work is on the side of the government, not the side of the people. The people have complained, they have protested, they have done anything they can do for the government to listen to them. It is upon the government now to at least dig up and know where they are going wrong. At least the people tried, honestly. They have tried to tell the government that there is an immigration crisis we are seeing, but you are not seeing. You should do something about it, considering that there are some major crises in Canada. This crisis, when you keep on increasing the number of immigrants into the country, it will increase problems that these Canadians are already facing. For example, the housing crisis. These people are fighting for houses. And now when you get other immigrants, they will continue to fight for the same houses. The health sector will continue struggling to provide services to citizens and immigrants. I mean, this is just a problem that can be solved by the government. Increase the number of immigrants into the country. And again, when these Canadians say that these people are taking their jobs, I think it's upon Canadian employees now to sit down and realize that we are the one that are spoiling our country by offering cheap service or cheap salaries to these immigrants. That is why at least they should consider empowering or lifting or employing their own people first. Put Canada first. Employ your own people first. But also, it applies to the Canadian. Try and apply to these jobs. Don't say that these people are taking up your jobs and you don't want to apply for those low-paying waging jobs. You see? Apply for those jobs, even if they are low-paying. But if you don't apply those jobs, these Indians, these immigrants will come and take those jobs, and then you will start telling us they are taking your jobs. But in reality, you haven't applied for the same job because you think they are not paying well. And these immigrants are taking those jobs that are not paying well. Yeah, I think a solution might come in handy with that. But all in all this immigration crisis in Canada, the Canadian people have every right to complain about immigrants in their country because they must put Canada first. And if putting Canada first means to protest about these immigrants, then well and good. But I think the only solution to this problem is directed to the government. The government should offer solution to its citizens. Put Canada first, put Canadian first, so that when the Canadians are settled, everything is provided. There is no high cost of living, no housing crisis, no health crisis, and all those crises that these people are facing. Then we can consider now importing in or allowing in more immigrants, because right now Canada, up to 30% of its population, they are immigrants, and Canadians are not happy about this at all. But those are just my views. You do tell me what you think about this concerning topic. Let's have a discussion in the comment section whenever you're watching this video from. Tell me what are your opinions on this crisis, because this immigration crisis is not affecting Canada alone. It is affecting like almost every first world countries. Like let's say Australia, it is affected with the same crisis. The countries like USA have tried to reduce this crisis by mass deportation, of which the Canadians are demanding also. But I think you should tell me what you think in the comment section about the same topic. Let's have a discussion. I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope you will subscribe to this channel. Adios.